Hey guys, and welcome to game number 55 out of 100 of the Mack vs. Machine series, where I'll be playing 100 games of Scrabble against the top online bot, HastyBot. We are currently at 35 and 19, so still doing quite well in the series, but we are on a 3-game losing streak, so hopefully we can turn things around today and start winning some games again. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. It looks like we're going to be first. We have a decent rack here. Don't think we're going to have a bingo. H-U-Y-M makes it a little bit clunky. Could play something like human or humane. I don't really like the Y, though, because it's not a great bingo tile. I'd probably prefer something like yamun, just since it scores about the same and the H is just a little bit better for bingoing and also more flexible in general than the Y, since the Y can be quite difficult to work with if we have a vowel-heavy draw. I don't really see a good way for us to get rid of the H, the Y, and the M. I guess we could play Hyman, but AU is considerably worse than HE for both scoring and bingoing. So I think it's worth the 6-point sacrifice of playing Yamun. Yeah, I don't really think there's going to be anything better. I guess we could also play Hyena, but again, the U is quite a lot worse than the E, so definitely not worth the extra couple of points. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Okay, he bingos immediately with Wagonage through that N. Not a huge scoring bingo, though. It's 66. So we have a deficit, but nothing major. Decent draw for us. We have an 8 of derechos with an R. I don't think we have anything through the tiles on the board, unfortunately. We have Cowshed through this W, but that's not a bingo. Scores 32, but that's likely not worth getting rid of our S and blowing up our rack in general. I guess we could play something with Wagonages. But I don't think, yeah, plays like Echoes, I mean, they're 38 points. It's not terrible. But let's see if we have a better way of keeping the S, because I'd love to keep the S for Wagonages and try to bingo there if we can. Like, I think I'd rather play Echoey, because it's only 10 less than Echoes, and I do think, given the Wagonages hook, and that we have a deficit and want to try to prioritize bingoing, I do think that would be worth the sacrifice. DS is a good leave, but I'd rather keep, like, ES or EDS, though. I guess there's Co-Head for 24, which is okay. Maybe actually Echoed could be interesting, because what this does is it opens the board more and it also makes it less likely that he'll block Wagonages, because without Echoed on the board, he's pretty often going to play something through this E, either to deliberately block Wagonages or maybe just as a non-bingo double-double or something like that, and as a result, he'll inadvertently block it. Echoed, as we'd say, sort of protects that hook, which is good for us here. So it's a little bit of an equity sacrifice, but maybe worth it. Yeah, I don't see any way to double-double. Oh, I guess actually, wait, we have cheesed, now that I see that. Yeah, that's probably worth it. That's 52. Yeah, okay, I didn't see cheesed at first. But yeah, I feel like for 52, that's gotta be worth it, because that basically ties up the game. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And of course, I gave him the one tile he needed for his bingo. Well, I guess an N would have given him Oceanot too, but one of the couple tiles he needed for his bingo. So not a great outcome, but we did pick up another S and have a decent rack here. W is going to prevent us from bingoing, I think. Maybe Whoopi over here for 36. That looks pretty solid. It keeps ST, scores well. It also takes out this spot, which I like. I don't want him playing the X there, something like Oxheim or Ozone even for like 60 or 70 points. We'd have wipeouts with a U, but there's no U floating. So yeah, I think Whoopi looks pretty good. Okay, he plays Jun. Not a good draw for us at all. FHV. Probably just Faith has to be right here. I mean, it's 40. It keeps DVS, which is not great, but I mean, it's about as good as we're going to get with this rack, and 40 points is still 40 points, so I can't imagine there being a better play. I'm going to go ahead and play that. Alright, not a bad draw here. We have Advisor Okay, so we have advisory to this Y. We also have avoiders through this E. So that's 78, and I think advisory is also 78. Oh, that's 82. Okay, I forgot to double the A. So it is 4 more points. Avoiders, though, definitely is a bit safer because it doesn't open up the floaters on the left, especially the A and the triple A. And we will be taking a bit of a lead, actually, with this play. We'll be going up about 40 points. So it may be worth giving up the 4 points for the defensive purposes. It also takes out this E, which is a good bingo lane on the bottom. If the score were different, I'd probably just take the points with advisory, but I do think, given I will be going up a little bit, it makes sense to, for just 4 less points, keep things a little bit tighter with avoiders. It also doesn't really give back an X-bomb over here with XI because no vowels can go in front of the O to make a 2 other word, so we can't play like axe or ox or anything over there. There is also an X-bomb still available above Autocade if he has AX, but not much I can really do about that this turn. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play avoiders. Okay, he plays nerds, which is interesting. So that's... I guess he's getting a lot of extra points for that S. I was going to say he's probably going to have another S with that, but I'm not necessarily sure that's true because he is getting like 13 more points by playing the S. So it's possible he just had a constant heavy rack. Okay, so we did get that X I was talking about. Don't think we have a way to play it both ways here, though, because we don't have an A. We don't have anything like links ending in NX or minx. We could actually, this is a cool play, we could just play in Doxil for 36, which is probably the right play. I don't think it makes sense to try to play something like, I guess, Ordinal over here if we want to try to maximize our chances of bombing the X next turn, but, I mean, that'll score about 52, 53 if we do draw an A, and 2 things. Number 1, there's only 2 A's left, so it's far from a guarantee we'll actually hit that spot, and number 2, it's just not enough upside over scoring 36 immediately and then sort of moving on from the X, trying to draw the blank or the last S, and just some other stuff that'll do well for us rather than getting too hung up on the X. So this is definitely a much better play than trying to hold on to the X. I guess we could also play something down here next to negate. We could play locks for 35. I don't really see much of a reason, though, to keep DNRI on this board. It's not a bad leave, per se, but it's not a good leave for scoring, and there aren't a ton of places to bingo on this board, so I'd rather play off more tiles to try to get, especially the blank or the S. There's some decent scoring tiles, too. Like, the K would be a pretty good tile on this board, especially with the spot here. Like, maybe KOI would be a nice way to get 35 points. I think there's just a lot better tiles on scene than DIRN, so I'd rather not keep them, and I'd rather give myself more chances to get the better tiles. So let's go ahead and play this. Okay, so I did give him a spot for QI, which I saw was a possibility, but I knew he could, worst case, just drop the Q down here for 31, and I'd be improving his score by about 10 or 15 points, which is not a ton, in the event he had the Q. So, okay, we've got a tight game here. I'm down by 2 points. It is my turn. I picked up the Z, which is a good tile, since I should be able to score pretty well with it. Could just play Fez, which is not bad. It's 41. It doesn't give anything back, because there are no 2 other words ending in a Z. It's a pretty tight board. I guess next to Nerds is probably his best bingo lane for something ending in ES or maybe ET. But I'll be up 39. RALL, not a great leave, unfortunately. I just don't see a good way for me to score otherwise. I don't want to play Phase over here. It keeps an even worse leave, and it does close one bingo lane, but gives back an even better one probably, since he can just start now with Net or Neb or Nay or anything there. So I don't like that. Yeah, Fez is probably just too many points not to play. I'm also getting a little bit low on time, so I don't want to spend too much longer here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play Fez. Okay, so he plays over top, which is not a bingo, but it's good play by him to score decently and burn through a bunch of tiles. Not a horrible draw for us in that we did pick up some vowels, but the problem is with this rack is it's all one-pointers, and we don't have a bingo, so it's going to be tough for us to score. We're not up a ton. We're only up 13, and there's a lot of good scoring tiles left, so I don't have great confidence in my ability to maintain my lead here, even if he doesn't bingo. So this is not actually a great position for us. We could just score with Aria, which is probably what I'll end up doing, because I just feel like I still need to keep scoring to maintain a lead here. I am scared though with this pool. I mean, there's good bingo tiles. There's blank, E, E, S, T, T, R, N, O, I. Like, there's a ton of ways he could bingo on the right. The problem is, how do I block that if I wanted? I guess I could play something here. Like what? I guess aerial? Maybe that's better. I mean, I do play off more tiles. IL is a bit better than EILL. The duplicate L's are really not great. He could still overlap this for a big play, which I don't love. But it does at least make it a lot tougher for him to bingo. Problem is, I'll be up 28 after that, which is a decent amount, but it's very easily surmountable with the scoring tiles left. I probably need to do it, though, just because he's pretty likely to bingo there pretty soon. And if he bingos, I mean, he's not going to really be giving me much back, and I'm going to be in a pretty bleak position. So I'm giving up 10 points, but I'm also giving myself 2 more shots at the blank. I just have a more flexible even general, and I have bingo defense. I feel like that's probably worth it. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go ahead and play that. Okay, so he plays Knob for 27. It's basically a tie game. I'm now just up 1. Not a horrible draw. We got the S, which is nice. We'd have Selam Leak with an E, which would be a pretty cool word. I think I might just have to play Milk here. I mean, it's 40 points. I'm not too worried if he scores through the K, because there's only 8 tiles left. I need to start paying a lot of attention to this number. So I'm thinking if he scores through the K with like a 5, he'll actually be emptying the bag, which is really good for me, because I'll still have a lead and I'll know exactly what he has. So I should be able to win that endgame pretty easily. The pool is actually now not looking as good as it did before, since I pulled the S and the last A. Like, there's pretty good bingo tiles, but there's a lot of duplicates. And without like an A, an S, or an N to complement the ERT, it's actually not that easy for him to bingo. And now that I blocked the top, or really the column N, he's mostly looking at this O and over top for bingoing, which it's not easy because he'd have to have the O in the last or second to last spot without an N for like ION or TION. I mean, there's stuff he could have, like Eruption, using the blank, but without the blank and a specific set of tiles, it's going to be pretty tough for him to hit there. Milk also does still block, maybe there's some overlaps he could have, like Betters would fit there, Betters, or Battery. So it's nice that this at least takes that out. I feel like I don't have a choice. I'm not up enough that I can afford to give up a ton of points, so I need to score 40 here, and as long as I can dodge a bingo on this turn, I think I should be fine. Okay, so he plays OE, so I can play Retablos. The problem is, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to compute this. I think if he goes out over here, I'm going to lose. Like, what if he goes out with prettier? So 74, 16, I'm up 90. 54, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, he'll win by 5 if he goes out with like puttier or something, or tipsier will win by even more. I'm not sure I can actually play that, which is annoying. So I may just need to... Does he have anything through that K? I have no idea. It's a lot of tiles to go through, especially with a blank, and only 58 seconds left. But I think I don't think I can just block the O guys, because I think I can get outscored with things like Pinky, probably. So I probably just need to go through the K, because, I mean, there's Eruption through the O, but there's not much else, I don't think. So if I just play Balk, I mean, I think unless... What if I could fish off a B too, I guess? To try to bingo back after Eruption? Is that the best play? I have no idea. I don't think so, because then he can again just score through the K. I think I'm going to just play balk and hope he doesn't have eruption. I feel like that's probably fine. I have no idea, though. Okay, T-Boy. Oh, we drew the blank. Okay. Well, that definitely helps. And, alright, let's just... I have 8 seconds. Let's just go out and win. I'm not sure that was the optimal game. I actually probably should have just played Bockiest over here, but that's fine. So, okay, 421 to 374. Interesting game and interesting finish. I feel confident that at least not bingoing with retablos was correct. I don't feel entirely confident that balk, as opposed to maybe fishing a B or something else, was correct. But with the amount of time I had left, I'm satisfied that I at least took the time to realize that bingoing was almost certainly not the play. But let's check earlier on and see if I maybe missed anything else. So, okay, he exchanges 4, which looks pretty clear. Oh, I didn't see Mina, but I don't think I would have played it. I think the EH is just so much better as a whole. I actually didn't even realize he exchanged 4, which is kind of odd. I don't think it showed the banner. If it did, I missed it. I thought I was going first, which I don't think that would have really affected my thought process, because an exchange 4 signals a decent leave, but not anything like an exchange 1. If I knew he exchanged 1 or something, I might have actually adjusted, but I'm not sure why I didn't realize he exchanged. But in any case, he was actually first this game, so my bad if I said I was first earlier. But yeah, I mean, I still think Yamun is fine. I should have at least seen Mina, and it's reasonable because it scores 6 more points. I just feel like EH is so much more flexible next turn than EU, because it's, I think, a little bit more likely to bingo, and it's just way more likely to have scoring plays in the event where I don't have a bingo. EU is pretty likely to end up with a 5-val rack or a clunky 4-val rack, whereas EH, sure, of course, it could end up with a bad rack, but if EH ends up with a bad rack, it's likely that EU would have probably ended up with an even worse rack, so I think it's just a better leave, and I'm willing to personally sacrifice 6 points to keep it. Wagonage, only bingo for him. Yeah, cheese looks good. Echoes, or I guess echoes with an E, either way, I thought about, but yeah, I mean, in the absence of cheese, that's probably not a bad play. Looks like the computer hates things like echoed, which I was considering from this E, which I still think is not a bad play if you don't see cheese, just because it makes this Waganage's hook so strong, but obviously I'm glad I took the time to see cheese, because it's way more than enough points to be worth spending the S here. Of course, I gave him a D for Autocade. Whoopi looks good. Pow that's actually not a bad option either. I mean, EIST is a lot better than ST, so this is quite reasonable, and there is the Autocades line to hit, which is, I guess, reasonably likely to stay open. He's often going to play over here, though, under Autocade, using this double word and block it. The nice thing is, though, Pow does set up another line for 7s on row 13, ending in IEST, because then he can, or then I can play something with ups and tot. So Pow may be worth it here, just because I am still down. I'd like to maximize my bingo percentage, and Whoopi is nice because it does open an I and an E, which work really well with my ST leave, and it does score 9 more points, which of course is worth something, but Pow is maybe a little bit better, just because EIST is so much stronger in terms of bingo percentage. And again, ST is a great leave. It's not a bad leave at all, but IEST just gets you 2 steps closer, because I and E are probably just about the ideal tiles you're hoping to draw anyway from an ST leave. So it just gets you 2 steps closer to having that really strong bingo rack. So I think Pow is maybe a little bit better in this case. Not a big mistake one way or another, but just given I'm still down a little bit, want to try to maximize my bingo percentage ASAP, I think Pow is maybe just a tad better. He plays Jun, which looks pretty good. Yeah, this AGNNT leave is actually not bad with this IN scene because of the possibility of ING words, so that looks like a very good play. Oh, Heft, I didn't see over here. Yeah, I think I played a little bit too fast. I sort of immediately saw Faith and figured it had to be best. I actually saw Fe, and then decided the DTV was too clunky, but I didn't see Heft for some reason, which is probably a slightly better play, because it scores 4 less, but keeping the I definitely improves that leave. DSV certainly has a lot of danger of ending up too constant heavy. I guess he could have the Y for Hefty, but I think that's a risk I'm willing to take. It's not all that likely he's going to have it since there's only one Y unseen. And it does give me this Heft's hook, which is nice since it's actually more likely to stay open than the Autocade's hook. Because after Faith, as I mentioned before, this spot is really strong over here under this E. And if he plays there, then he's going to block the Autocade's hook. So I won't have a great bingo opportunity for the next turn. But after Heft, if he plays there, then the Heft's hook is still going to be open because he'll be playing 4 tiles over here, and I'll still have room to bingo over here with Hefts, which is nice. So I think just because it keeps a slightly better leave and also opens a better S-hook lane for myself, I do think Heft would have been a bit of a better play. So a little bit of an oversight there, but not a huge mistake. He plays Negate, so I did get bailed out a little bit because I did block Anti-Gene through that I for the bot. So a little bit of a lucky break there that I chose Faith, even though it was probably a small mistake. But yeah, he's sort of forced to make an awkward decision here between blowing up his rack for not a lot of points and fishing again. But yeah, now that I blocked up the eye on the bottom, I feel like fishing with a leave like AEGNT doesn't have much merit. So something like Negate seems reasonable on his end. Yeah, Advisory scores a few more points, but if I were still down more like 80 or 90, I think I would have gone with Advisory. But given I'll be taking a bit of a lead here, I think Avoiders to keep things a little bit tighter and block that E makes sense. Oh, wow, this is what he had. Interesting. So he has Undressed here, but it doesn't play, and I guess nothing through this A plays. Daunters, Untreads, Transsued. Yeah, nothing plays. Interesting. It feels really wrong instinctively to play off these tiles for 28 when you have such a strong leave and you're trailing. Is there, I guess the problem is, I mean, yeah, maybe, what if he just plays Jot? I mean, that's definitely bingos a decent amount. Because with an E, he'd have under C to either of these A's. With an O, he'd have Enduros or something like that. How with an I? Insured, Unraised Uranides Denarius. Maybe he doesn't hit with an I. Oh no, he hits Insured with Fend. Yeah, because Fend takes a D in addition to an S, so he'd have Insured there. I mean, yeah, I think that's probably worth it, because EIOL would hit for Rundles. There's just a lot of tiles he can pull that'll give him a bingo with Fens. So I don't know. I don't like just blowing up this rack, because it's so strong here, and there is that strong line to hit on column M. I do think it's probably worth a fish on his part here to try to draw a bingo. And he can always do that next turn if he doesn't hit. So I think I would have probably fished here if I were him. But okay, he goes with Nerds. Yeah, Locks ranks a little bit higher on Static, which I'm not surprised. And DINR is not a bad leave, especially with all these E's unseen. But especially now that he blocked the Fend hook, there just isn't that strong a potential for me to bingo on the next turn on this board. So I think I'm better off just scoring more points and giving myself some more chances to pick up the blank, the S, the Z, and some of the other scoring tiles. He plays QI, which looks pretty clear. And, oh, I missed Zarf. Let's see. Oh, I missed Zarf over here, which is maybe, yeah, it might be a little bit better. I guess the nice thing about Fez, though, is it does block this bingo line on the top, and I will be taking a lead, and he's going to probably be on average closer to a bingo than me, because I'm keeping ALLR, which is quite clunky, and there's a blank, S, R's, T's, E's, N, a bunch of I's unseen, so he's probably going to have better bingo potential than me in the near future, and that'll be my biggest threat to him coming back. So that's actually a decent argument in favor of Fez over Zarf. I should have at least considered Zarf, though, and ELL is a little bit better than ALLR, just because it's one less tile and one less one-point consonant that could result in a clunky leave. But I do think Fez may be worth it, because that's such an easy bingo line to hit. So I'm okay with this play, but I would have at least liked to have seen Zarf and gave it some thought. Yeah, over top I like by him. He doesn't really have a lot of good tiles on this rack. V, 2 O's, 2 T's, so just score some points and try to pick up the blank or something more useful. That looks good. Let's see, yeah. The computer does not like my play at all, which is not surprising. It likes either Lie or Aria, which I considered. Yeah, I didn't see Lie, which is reasonable, so it goes up about 30. I still just didn't feel. I mean, there's so many ways for him to score. If he has the K, especially, he could play something like Fink and Kep over here. I just didn't really feel like a 30-point lead was all that secure. And I mean, I'm still scoring 15 with Ariel, so it's only a 4-point difference. And I also get rid of 2 more tiles, which gives me a better chance to pick up the blank, the S, the K, and some scoring tiles. So I'm not really leaving myself any more susceptible to outscoring, I don't feel like, after Ariel. And I'm taking away so much bingo percentage, because by far and away the best bingo line is this end column for something ending in like E or ES. And I'm stopping that. I'm also stopping some 7s across here in the same spot where I played Ariel. So I think just for the reduced bingo percentage, because after a play like Lai or Arya, if he bingos, I'm pretty much lost. I'm not going to have a lot of scoring tiles or big comebacks, and he's going to be winning the game almost all the time. So I think I'm correct here to take out his bingos and hope I can pick up a few scoring tiles and hold on to this game without either of us bingoing. And that's more or less the path the rest of this game took. Yeah, Knob, I blocked Boar Knight over here, right? If I didn't play Ariel, he would have played Boar Knight for 74, making NE, and if I didn't have a big comeback play, then he would probably be winning this game quite easily. So Ariel may have actually been a game-saving play, as it turns out, given what he had. But yeah, he plays Knob, which looks good. I saw Kilos over here, but I didn't want to give back. Plays with OK on column A, and Milk keeps the S and scores a little more. Also, as I mentioned, blocks a few bingos he could have above Ariel, like Betters over here, that will score a lot of points and hit 5 overlaps. So I think Milk looks like a pretty good play. He plays OE, and yeah, this was a really, really tricky spot. So as I mentioned, of course, I have Retapos here. I saw this immediately, but I didn't play it because I go up 90, but if I allow him to bingo on column A with many possible things, like Tipsier, Purtier, Eperite, even YPERITE, there's quite a good number of things he could have, and any of those things will win by a pretty small margin. So I decided that that's much more likely to lose than if I just play Balk, because if I play Balk, I'm going up 46, and I'm keeping ERST. There's nowhere on this board for him to score nearly enough points for him to outrun me without bingoing. So I'm basically saying after Bach, you're either going to bingo immediately and win, or you're going to lose. And he's not bingoing to this B. There are very few 8s ending in a B, and there's almost certainly none possible with this pool. So I'm pretty much just looking at this O over here, and I believe Eruption was the only thing I saw. I'm going to quickly check and see if there is anything else that he could have had through this O. It's a little bit tough to permute all the possibilities when you have a blank, especially, and 2 in the bag. But it looks like Eruption is actually the only thing, because yeah, there's a bunch of other 8s with an O, but they all have the O in an earlier spot in the word. Once again, the O needs to be in the 7th or 8th spot in order to fit, so things like Piratus or Punitory or Idiotype won't quite play on this board. So yeah, Eruption is the only way for me to lose after Balk. So the odds of that happening are the odds of me drawing IY, which will be 1 in 18, because with 2 tiles in the bag, that means I'm going to be drawing 2 tiles out of a 9-tile pool, right? Because there's 2 in the bag, 7 on his rack. So there's 9 unseen tiles to me, and I'm drawing 2 of those. 9 choose 2 is 9 times 8 divided by 2, which is 36. But there's 2 I's, so there's actually 2 ways for me to draw IY, right? I can basically draw the Y with the first I or the Y with the second I. So it's 2 out of 36, or 1 out of 18 if you reduce that, is the odds of me drawing IY in there by losing this game. So basically, that's an easy computation that tells us Balk wins 17 out of 18 times, which is pretty good. It's about 94%, give or take. And Retablos is certainly going to win way less than that, because if you look at just a couple of draws I mentioned, right? IY also loses because of Purtier. That'll win by 5. UI loses because of Tipsier. IU loses because of Eperite. Actually, does Eperite win? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30, 87... Yeah, I think Eperite actually wins by 1, as crazy as that sounds, because Eperite is 87, and he'll only get 4 from my rack, but that's just enough because I'll be up 90. So yeah, IU draw loses. So without even permuting all the possibilities, we can quickly see that Retablos is considerably worse than Balk. And I didn't have time to go through every possible rack, but I pretty much saw, just based on those possibilities, that Balk has to be a better play. And I guess the question is, could I have guaranteed myself a win? I don't think so, because if I play off one tile, like I said, there's no way I can just play something like bot through this O, because there's going to be ways I have to imagine where he can go out in 2 for a lot of points through this K and outscore me. I would have imagined, but let's put this into Quackle. I'm curious to see. Maybe Quackle comes up with a way to win 100%. So 1 second, guys. I'm just going to pull this up. Okay, so as we can see here with Championship Player's choices, Championship Player does not seem to think there is a way for me to win 100% of the time. It actually has Balk or Bark, pretty much identical plays, tied as the best, winning 94.44%, which once again is that 17 and 18 number I was talking about before, losing only if I draw the IY and he bingos out with Eruption. So there doesn't really seem to be a better way here for me to go about this. I thought about maybe blocking this with bot or fishing off one tile. But the problem is there's going to be enough scoring potential from this K. For instance, if he plays the word Couprey, K-O-U-P-R-E-Y, with a blank O, which will happen reasonably often, that'll be 45 points. And if he's going out next turn, he'll be up 20 and be going out. There's not going to be really any viable way for me to make up that many points, since there won't be any bingo lines left for me to work with. So this pretty much confirms that I had the right idea here. I'm glad I took the time to realize that Retablos was not going to win. I'm not sure why Quackle's saying that Retablos wins 0% of the time. This seems quite bizarre. I mean, obviously if I draw like blank E or something, I'm completely winning. So yeah, that I honestly don't really understand. But in any case, I do think the 94.44% computation is correct. And as we can see, these fishes here, yeah, again, this shouldn't be 0% though, so I don't really know what's going on. But like I said, just intuitively, it makes sense that if I fish with something like this, right, I'll be up only 20, and if he plays Couprey and has an out next turn, then I'm gonna be down 25. He'll be going out, and there's not going to really be anywhere for me to bingo, so I'll be losing that game pretty easily, as I'm not going to be able to score that many points. Something like Lars and Doxils would probably make it close after this play, since that would be 12, 13, 14, 18, 26, 31. But after Couprey, yeah, he'll be down like 6, and if he goes out, he should have enough to win. So I don't think this is ever going to realistically work all the time. I mean, obviously with some racks, this will win if he doesn't have a big play through the K. But in most cases, when he does, I think I'll be in some trouble. So I think I made the right call here, just scoring, taking out this K, and forcing him to basically bingo with Eruption immediately, or else I'll win the game easily. And as it turns out, he didn't have Eruption. He played T-Poi, and I just went out with Sitter over here, which, yeah, looks like I would have gotten more spread by just playing Balkiest. But at that point, I saw Balkiest, but I was down to like 8 seconds on the clock, and I just decided, let's get this game over with. I don't really care about spread all that much, and I don't want to go out on time or anything like that. So just figured go out and end the game, and ended up winning 421 to 374. So yeah, overall I'm happy with this game. A couple imprecise plays early on. I think Whoopi and Faith were both small errors, but afterwards I'm definitely happy with Ariel. I think that was a really good decision, and very happy with Balk too, especially under some time pressure. Realizing that bingoing with Retablos was not correct. So yeah, overall I'm happy with this game. A good win for us to get back on track after that losing streak. And yeah, that's it for this one, guys. So thanks as always for watching, and I will see you soon for game number 56. Have a good one. Bye-bye.